Want to know a secret? Not all components have to be classes. They can just be functions. Yes. Stateless functional components. Stateless functional components. So when do you think we could use them based on that name? When you don't have state. Yeah, there's a little more to it than that. But if a component is never going to have state, there's a pretty good chance it could be a stateless functional component, which means it could just be a function instead of a class. And I'm going to bet that this header never really needs to have state. Let's look at this thing. So we're definitely going to have state in this thing. We've got a lot of data to manage. So any component that needs data has two ways of getting it. It can either manage it internally with state, or it can get it from somewhere else with props, right? So what data is needed in that header? The name of the channel and a description of the channel, right?
Would that be changing whether or not you change the, the hashtag random different rooms?
Yeah, so different rooms would change that. But that information is going to come from the sidebar probably, right? So in the sidebar, you'll click that, and it'll pass that information over there. So we probably don't need to manage that internally in this one. So I'm going to say this can almost certainly be stateless. And I'm going to go ahead and guess that it could also meet the other criteria, which we don't know about yet. So it's not very hard to switch between the two styles. So let's go ahead and convert this one into a stateless functional component. I'll tell you, unless I just know right off the bat I'm going to need state, I make it stateless functional until I need state, and then I just change it because it's not that hard to change. So I just always start out making it that way unless I know I need the other. There are various advantages to doing that. It's simpler. You don't have complicated objects. You just have pure functions, which is super nice. So I do it that way when I can. So let's go ahead and change this one. So instead of class chat header extends component, I want const chat header equals arrow function. Now that I'm not inheriting from component, I don't really need to import component. So I will change this to just import React from React. We do still need to import React or the whole thing won't work. And now the component itself basically is the render function. I don't need a render method. I don't have methods. I'm not a class anymore. So get rid of this line and the corresponding closing curly brace. Et voila. A stateless functional component. That's all there is to it. The whole thing is just the render method, basically. Use a stateless functional component for chat header. Yeah. Well, it doesn't anymore. So I'm actually not inheriting all those methods and stuff. So I don't have this .set state, which is why I can't have state. So it no longer does inherit, but it still returns JSX. And at a very minimum, that's kind of all a component needs to do. So it does the bare minimum. Yeah.
Why are we leaving all that stuff out?
Because we don't need it. So why bother? The notes for today will include a blog post that goes into more detail about some of the less obvious advantages of stateless functional components, but simpler is better as far as I'm concerned. So if we don't need state, I'd rather do it this way. Just make the whole thing a function.